yards receiving in the game. Fans will debate who won the halftime show and the fifth quarter, but it was clear on the Bayou who won the game on the field. The Delta Devils got off to a great start in the opening quarter against Texas Southern, following a 1-yard touchdown run by Evans Valcourt Jr. as Mississippi Valley State took a 10-0 lead. Texas Southern's KJ Cooper scored from 1 yard away to cut the Tigers' deficit to 10-7 in the second quarter. Valley would go back up by 10 points on the following drive, thanks to Josh Brown's 30-yard pass play to Carrick Ross. The Mississippi Valley State lead would grow to 13 points in the third quarter after Marco Jovisic's 41-yard field goal to give the Delta Devils a 20-7 lead with 10:06 left to play in the third. Texas Southern's comeback would begin on an 18-play, 75-yard drive, capped with a 2-yard touchdown run by Bethune Renfro to cut their deficit to 6 points. The Delta Devils offense would fumble the ball out of the end zone, giving Texas Southern's defense a safety, and now the Tigers only trailed by 4 points, 20-16. Following turnovers by both offenses, the Tigers defense forced the Delta Devils to turn the ball over on downs on the Tigers' 47-yard line just after the 2-minute timeout in the fourth quarter. On the first down, following the turnover, KJ Cooper would connect with Trenton Leary on a 48-yard pass play to the Mississippi Valley State 5-yard line. And 2 plays later, Bethune Renfro would get his second touchdown of the game from 8 yards away, and the Tigers grabbed their first lead of the game with 1:18 to play. The Tigers would improve to 1-1 in conference play, while Mississippi Valley State suffered another tough defeat at home. The 36th Southern Heritage Classic in Memphis, Tennessee featured UAPB for the third consecutive year and Alcorn State for the first time. Alcorn State would score the first touchdown of the game in the first quarter on a 24-yard play by Jalen Tolbert to Jamar Kehoe, giving the Braves a 6-3 lead in the first quarter. UAPB's Jalen Jennings' 19-yard touchdown run allowed the Golden Lions to regain the lead with 5:52 to play in the first half. Not to be outdone on the ground, Alcorn State's Jacorian Sewell put 6 on the board for the Braves with a 33-yard touchdown run. Braves were back on top, 13-10. Christian Peters would lead UAPB back out in front with a 22-yard touchdown pass play to Ellis Stewart with 1:25 to play in the second quarter. In the third quarter, Jacorian Sewell would score his second touchdown of the game from 5 yards out as the Braves regained the lead 20-17. Sewell would rush for 225 yards on 23 attempts. But UAPB's quarterback would not be outdone as Peters led the Golden Lions on a 12-play, 79-yard scoring drive with 5:39 to play in the game on a 1-yard run. Peters threw for 323 yards and a touchdown and 1 rushing score on 30 yards rushing in UAPB's first Southern Heritage Classic victory in their third appearance.
There's no I in team, but there is an M, an E, an A, and a T.
Since 2018, Cricket Wireless has been supporting the journey of HBCU students.
Revitalized rec areas and created peaceful wellness spaces, providing students with areas to learn, relax, and thrive. Through their dedication to uplifting their campuses, HBCUs are growing stronger, one grant at a time, one project at a time, one community at a time. Learn more at retoolyourschool.com. Retool Your School. We're powered by purpose.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SWAC TV Game Time. I am Roy Evans, and I'm now joined by Mr. Brian Fulford. Brian, how you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Roy. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm a little disappointed that I'm not on location or calling a football game this morning, but that just means I have more time to watch all these great SWAC games today.
Most definitely as we get into it. Now, we really enjoyed your recap of last week. Let's talk really, really quickly just about what you saw throughout that recap and how it impacts those standings we're about to get into.
Well, I guess we can start, since we're starting with the West on that West graphic. How about Texas Southern? Texas Southern already coming into that contest 0-1, losing on a last play essentially of the game to Prairie View, first game of the season, and then having to claw back by scoring 16 consecutive points, 9 in the fourth quarter alone, just able to snatch that victory away from Mississippi Valley State. So kudos to Coach Dishman and Texas Southern for finding a way to win, and a tough loss. Although, that's the second home loss for Mississippi Valley State. And although the first one was to Southern and it wasn't a conference game, it's still a conference opponent. So watch out for Valley. They're playing really well within the conference right now. So and then, hey, we got to mention Arkansas Pine Bluff. I might have buried the lead, right? Because Arkansas Pine Bluff starting 1-0 for really the first time since the spring season of a few years back. But I don't know, the last time prior to that, or the last time in the fall where UAPB had a winning record in conference play, they won the SWAC. But hey, great start for Arkansas Pine Bluff. So congratulations to the Golden Lions for opening up the season with a win.
Well, most definitely. And as we look at these standings, we see that Prairie View is at the top, followed by Arkansas Pine Bluff. Number 3, Texas Southern. Grambling, Southern, and Alcorn State round out, none of them having any conference wins yet. 2 of those teams are off this week, so we won't see them, but we'll get into that later. Alcorn has a big game, of course, that we'll have coming up to talk about. This is interesting to me just in the sense that the top of it you didn't expect, as you were saying. That's one of the things. I don't know that we were looking at Prairie View being 2-0 and leading the Western Division at this point. Let's go to the East. Now, we know there are some changes on this from what was predicted at the start of the season and getting some things going. What's your biggest story in the East?
Well, 3 of the 4 teams were predicted to be where they are, right? People predicted Alabama State, Jackson State, and Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
But what I think the 2 schools in Florida have flipped spots. I'm not going to say no one. I'm not going to be petty like that. But let's just say people thought the other school in Florida would be in a different place than the school that's in Daytona Beach. And they have found an offense, speaking of the Wildcats. Hail Wildcats. I don't say it often, but they look really good. What an offensive performance against Alabama A&M. And if they continue to play that way, you're going to have a good game on that field behind you today, Roy.
Well, and that's one of the things that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this game plays out. I think a lot of folks underestimated what Bethune was going to be capable of doing. A couple of weeks ago, folks were talking about they might get beat by a D2 team, and they just proceeded to come in and completely destroy the Edward Waters Tigers and being who they are. And I told you guys, not so fast. Sit back and watch. Last weekend, they had the biggest upset in the conference play. I don't think anybody else can say that they were expecting that to happen, and especially the way that it did. So, of course, as we look at standings, Alabama State number 1, Jackson State number 2, Bethune Cookman number 3, Alabama A&M, Florida A&M, and Mississippi Valley all round out the bottom part of that. No wins in conference yet, and we'll be hoping to get that squared away. I'm sure all 3 of them are looking forward to taking the opportunity to get something better. So with that being said, we're going to take us another quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about somebody. I think somebody wants to know about that. You're watching SWAC TV Game Time right here.
Since 2018, Cricket Wireless has been supporting the journey of HBCU students because HBCUs aren't just schools. They're a place where teammates form lifelong bonds, the kind of bonds that stay with you every step of the way. That's why we keep you connected, so you can tackle anything that's thrown your way. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Big rivalries, big wins, and continuing legacies. Since 1920, the Southwestern Athletic Conference has been more than just a league. It's been a movement. From the roaring crowds to sold-out stadiums, year after year, SWAC leads the nation in FCS attendance. And now, the wait is over. Welcome to SWAC TV, your free all-access pass to the soul of the conference. Every rivalry, every win, every championship moment, captured, streamed, and celebrated. Stream SWAC TV, available on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Google Play, and Android TV. SWAC TV, where history is made and moments live forever.
There's no I in team, but there is an M, an E, an A, and a T.
Brighter futures begin here with students and faculty that bring campus projects to life with help from the Home Depot Retool Your School grants. With these grants, HBCUs have built innovative learning lounges, revitalized rec areas, and created peaceful wellness spaces, providing students with areas to learn, relax, and thrive. Through their dedication to uplifting their campuses, HBCUs are growing stronger, one grant at a time, one project at a time, one community at a time. Learn more at retoolyourschool.com. Retool Your School. We're powered by purpose.
Gatorade has the #1 proven electrolyte blend, designed to hydrate better than water, made to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel, so you can lose more sweat and run the game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the SWAC TV Game Time as we are here on the campus of Alabama State University. It's homecoming time for Hornet Nation, and without any other reason, we've got to talk about that person that Hornet Nation is probably all glad to see what the expectation was. We're going to talk about their quarterback in our player spotlight, Mr. Andrew Body. But before we get into that discussion, let's welcome in two additional guests to this conversation. We've got Mr. Charles Bishop and the dean himself, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill. Doc, Charles, how are you guys doing this morning?
Doing well, Roy.
I'm doing really good, excited about talking about Body because he's the talk of the SWAC right now.
He most definitely is. Before we go too far, want to give both of you an opportunity to say, is there anything about the SWAC standings that has you surprised? Charles, how about you?
I think taking a look at what Prairie View is doing, I mean, you can make a hard argument. You know, Tremaine Jackson, he talked the talk, but the Panthers are walking the walk, 2-0 coming into today's game versus Alcorn. So I think they are a program that's turning heads all around this conference.
All right. Doc?
Yeah, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Surprise in the negative direction, if you would, is FAMU. The fact that they are 0-1 in conference standing, while many people saw Alabama State jumping out of the gate and looking good, I think it's still surprising to many that the Rattlers are 0-1 when you start this weekend, coming in to further SWAC action.
All right. Well, there you go. So let's talk about Mr. Body. We're going to hold off on the highlights, but this gentleman actually was a transfer. Doc, if I'm not mistaken, came in from Texas Southern last season, had an injury, ended up knocking him out as part of the Alabama State season that went tragically wrong, as it related to injury. They had multiple injuries, got down to, I believe, a fourth-string QB. But this is the Andrew Body, I believe, that everybody expected when he came over to Alabama State and what he would be able to do. As you look at some of the rankings, these rankings that you see on the screen are national ranking, FCS quarterbacks. Number 11, number 3, number 4. He's got some 31, got some higher ones in there, but the ones that are, as we would say, quarterback specific to what they do alone, he's in the top 10, top 11 of all of these. Let's talk about who he is or what you see in him as a player. Doc?
Yeah, first, he's a tremendous young man. You know, we had experience being on the campus of Texas Southern University to see him quite a few times, not just in terms of what he did on the field, but what he did off the field. He's a leader. And anytime you can get nearly 70% of your passes completed, and then you have the ability to do some things with your legs, as you see in the clip playing there. 12 touchdowns this season. He's healthy, and I think that's the big thing that people questioned over the last couple of years was his health and his ability to stay healthy. And unfortunately for him, he was not able to even get past game one last year. But now that he's healed up, completely healthy, we see his ability and also get it done on the field. So tremendous when you talk about Andrew Body, and I'm so excited for him, his family, and the Hornets, fans who deserve a team to get it done because previously they've been well on the defensive side of the ball. They're pretty solid there, but now they have an offense to go with it, and everybody in the SWAC needs to watch out.
All right. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, I had the opportunity actually to watch him last week, and the amazing part is, statistically, you might look at that game from last week against Florida A&M and say Andrew Body didn't have the greatest game from a statistical standpoint, but his impact is so heavy that everything that the defense does is geared towards dealing with him. And then he's such a good player right now at the quarterback position that everybody else is flourishing. Good quarterbacks make everybody else better. And so his offensive line is doing a great job in front of him, and the running game looks great. And so, hey, good luck. If you're going to try to stop the run, Andrew Body's going to beat you. If you try to focus on Andrew Body from a passing perspective, the running game is going to beat you. Really fascinated with the offensive play calling by Alabama State right now to not just feature Body, but to use his gifts to accentuate everything else with that offensive unit.
Gotcha. Charles, what about you?
Yeah, I think coming into this season, you talk to a lot of defensive coaches around the SWAC, and I think the conventional wisdom was to make beat you with his arm. We know what he could do with his legs, but I think a lot of defensive coordinators, they wanted to, sort of push the pocket and keep him in the pocket, if you will, forcing to beat him with your arm. But as you can see this year, I mean, he is taking that next step in terms of being able to pass Alabama State through the game. And I mean, it's kind of why sort of evolved from a quarterback that, is a tremendous runner. We know what he does, but I mean, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions this season, completing almost 70% of his passes. And people tend to forget he is the fourth best quarterback coming out of the state of Texas, coming out of the Corpus Christi area.
No, wait. I need you to clarify that. When you say he was the fourth best quarterback, or
in terms of passing yards in the state of Texas, Andrew Body I believe is number 4 coming out of the state of Texas. So he's somebody who not only can do it with his legs, but absolutely can do it with his arm.
Well, watching this young man do what he does. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just going to add to what Charles said. Over 13,000 yards passing. I mean, just think about that. In 4 years, I'm assuming he played as a freshman in high school, but even if he didn't, I mean, if that was done in 3 years, I mean, so an outstanding high school career. And I just remember people in Texas telling me, Brian, wait till you see this Andrew Body. Whoa, that's what I just kept hearing. And now we're seeing the whoa that had so many people excited coming out of high school.
All right. Well, listen, watching this young man do what he does has been truly amazing. And I think, as Doc alluded to, being a leader makes a difference. And Brian, you said it. When the quarterback is good, it makes everybody else on the team look better. So congratulations to you, Mr. Andrew Body, our player spotlight right here on SWAC TV Game Time. We're going to get ready to take a break and come back and get into some of the conversation about things that are going on this week right here in the SWAC. We'll be back.
Since 2018, Cricket Wireless has been supporting the journey of HBCU students because HBCUs aren't just schools. They're a place where teammates form lifelong bonds, the kind of bonds that stay with you every step of the way. That's why we keep you connected, so you can tackle anything that's thrown your way. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Big rivalries, big wins, and continuing legacies. Since 1920, the Southwestern Athletic Conference has been more than just a league. It's been a movement. From the roaring crowds to sold-out stadiums, year after year, SWAC leads the nation in FCS attendance. And now, the wait is over. Welcome to SWAC TV, your free all-access pass to the soul of the conference. Every rivalry, every win, every championship moment, captured, streamed, and celebrated. Stream SWAC TV, available on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Google Play, and Android TV. SWAC TV, where history is made and moments live forever.
There's no I in team, but there is an M, an E, an A, and a T.
Brighter futures begin here with students and faculty that bring campus projects to life with help from the Home Depot Retool Your School grants. With these grants, HBCUs have built innovative learning lounges, revitalized rec areas, and created peaceful wellness spaces, providing students with areas to learn, relax, and thrive. Through their dedication to uplifting their campuses, HBCUs are growing stronger, one grant at a time, one project at a time, one community at a time. Learn more at retoolyourschool.com. Retool Your School. We're powered by purpose.
Gatorade has the #1 proven electrolyte blend, designed to hydrate better than water, made to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel, so you can lose more sweat and run the game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Hello and welcome back to SWAC TV Game Time. We are here getting ready to look at today's slate of games and let you know what's going on around the SWAC. Of course, off this week will be Grambling State and Southern, as those two rivalries sit at home and find ways to talk about each other. We get to watch the rest of the SWAC teams play. Doc, let's start with you in a conversation about the Texas Southern Tigers hosting the Golden Lions of Arkansas Pine Bluff. The Golden Lions of Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Both of these teams are excited about this game. They've got big wins this past weekend, tough wins in terms of being games that went back and forth in those matchups. So whoever comes out of this game with a victory is going to be excited. They get the 2-0 in the SWAC. They have a little momentum, and that's 2-0 if you're Pine Bluff, obviously 2-1 if you're Texas Southern Tigers. But Christian Peters, that senior from Charlotte, North Carolina, 6'2", 185-pound quarterback, he's been playing pretty solid. It'll be interesting to see, can he continue to get the momentum, continue to get better, passing just under 50%, 56% for the game. So I'm interested to see, can he control the offense and get the Golden Lions out of bad plays to continue to march down the field. You see, on the opposite side, I'm looking at Texas Southern Tigers. Defensively, they've been solid all year long. Can they continue that momentum and blunt the Golden Lions as they look forward to trying to get things going in this matchup? So really a toss-up in a lot of ways when you talk about these two teams. what that looks like. But I'm fascinated with this matchup. Again, somebody gets to the second win in conference play.
All right. Charles, when you take a look at this game, what do you think are going to be some of the key factors?
I think when we take a look at it, the question for me is KJ Cooper. Can he get up and going? I think watching KJ Cooper, once he starts kind of getting into a groove, it helps Texas Southern. Last week against Mississippi Valley, did a tremendous job, I think, of stepping up when they needed him to step up and started completing passes left and right and was able to get downfield. So that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to with regards to this game. Can Texas Southern's offense get up and go? And kind of took them a while to get on track last week, but when they got on track, they were pretty easy to stop.
All righty. Well, as we take a look at this next game.
Roy, I also want to say, when you talk about Kareem Burke, the wide receiver junior from Jacksonville, Florida, 6 foot, 170 pounds, he's been solid. You know, he's gotten the end zone twice this year, but 14 receptions. He is averaging 18.3 on those receptions for 256 yards. So that's also part of that connection. That if you can get things going with this quarterback, Peters, look forward to see how that matchup comes up when you talk about the defensive backs of Texas Southern University. So keep your eyes on that as well when you look at the Golden Lions.
All right. Well, hey, listen, I think their coach knows a little something about covering wide receivers, so that position better be solid for the Texas Southern Tigers. Next, we're going to take a look at Jackson State going to Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M is licking their wounds a little bit after a tough loss to Bethune Cookman last week. Jackson State is doing what Jackson State does. They are going in, taking care of business, and TC has his guys firing on all cylinders. With the disappointment coupled with being at home, Charles, how are your Tigers going to handle going into Huntsville, Alabama?
Yeah, well, neutral site game. That game will be played in Mobile down there. But when you take this game, Jackson State week in, week out, I mean, the fourth doesn't change whatsoever. Defensively, they stop the run. They are one of the best in the conference in terms of stopping the run, and they make you one-dimensional. And that plays right into their hands in terms of having guys who can fly off the edge when you talk about a guy like Quincy Ivory coming off the edge, defensive end for Jackson State. Offensively, they run the ball tremendously. When you take a look at Miller as well as others who can really get the job done. And last week, I think you saw Jacobian really kind of get on track in terms of throwing the ball vertically. So Jackson State's offense is humming on all cylinders. For Alabama A&M, the question about the health of Quad Brown, that's the thing that I kind of take a look at with this game. You're talking about a young man, tremendous in terms of what he's done thus far before injury. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's thrown for 719 yards thus far this season. So offensively, we know Alabama A&M, they have some weapons, but the question is defensively. Gave up 31 points to Alcorn, gave up 41 last week to Bethune Cookman. So you have that chess match with regards to an explosive offense against a struggling defense.
All right. Doc?
Yeah, I'm with Charles in terms of one of the big questions in this game is Alabama A&M Bulldogs defense, particularly against an offense that is really explosive in many ways, particularly when you talk about Ahmad Miller, that sophomore from Memphis, 6 foot, 207 pounds. He's really active in terms of what he can do with his feet, and he can bust it out and make long runs, but also do the. Well, the question is, given a lot of points on the season, when you look at FCS competition and a couple of the games in the SWAC, one of them counts in the standings, as we saw last week with the big win by Bethune Cookman. But they also defeated Alcorn State. And then they had a tug match, if you would, with Tennessee State when you talk about FCS play outside of the conference. So I'm really concerned with the Bulldogs defense. What can they get done? Can they find a way to stop Jackson State, particularly when Jackson State gets rolling? The thing that they do have in their favor is when you talk about Quad Brown, as Charles mentioned. When he's healthy and that offense is going, regardless, they're able to put up points. This game can be close for a while, but the question is somehow can the Bulldogs defense find a way to make some stops, particularly get off the field on third down. They've had struggle with that all season in their ability to get people off the field. They've been able to do relatively well on the early downs. So teams don't necessarily have just big plays on them, but they're able to march down the field because they are not able to stop folks on the third down, and their efficiencies from a defensive perspective are lower than what they would want to see in regards to getting things going. Neutral site game, so you take away that home field advantage. Both teams will travel well for this, and so it'll be exciting from a classic perspective. So, both teams will be lathered up, but this is one to kind of keep your eyes on. You have that upset alert with the big game on both teams in terms of Alabama State and Jackson State on the radar for homecoming next week. Because it's a neutral site, and that's the one thing that you want to kind of put a pin on there about the upset alert of Jackson State and even Alabama State for that matter.
All right. Well, listen, the question has been asked, and it's going to be there. With Quad Bound's availability, if he isn't ready to go, will the Bulldogs be in good hands? Coach Shade had a quote. He said, hey, he dressed for the BCU, but he wasn't quite ready to go. That's telling. So now we'll see what happens. You'll be able to check that game out on HBCU Go at 4 p.m. Central Time. Now, as we look at this and just get ready for this other game, let's circle back. We want to talk about the question that I have about the Golden Lions and their offense. How do they find consistency for this game today, guys? Charles?
I think when you take a look at it, and I think Doc alluded to it, the play of their quarterback, when you take a look at what Christian Peters has done thus far. Huge game last week against Alcorn, 323 yards passing. But, we saw how they can be explosive. Kareem Burke, Doc touched on it, 6 receptions for 102 yards. They're a fun team to watch. And watching them last week against Alcorn, you see they have a lot of talent, especially on the perimeter, which can be scary. This is a team, we talk about it all the time, have quarterback, have wins, and they have a really good quarterback in Christian Peters.
All right. Doc, you got any final words on this one?
Yeah, from my perspective, let's find a way. We go back, the hidden components of a game is their ability to make those first downs. We talked about the players who have the ability to do it, but this last week, if you go back to the Alcorn State game, they were 6 of 14 in terms of what they could do on third down. They went for it a couple of times, if you would, on fourth down, and they were 0 for 3. They did put up 463 yards, so they want to be able to put yards on the board. But in terms of getting into scoring position, they have some problems punching in end zone and either having to settle for field goals or turning it over on fourth down. So their ability to be more efficient in this game is something to keep your eyes on about their ability to do it. And honestly, that's really the same when you look at the Texas Southern Tigers. So these teams kind of mirror each other in a lot of ways. Very tough on the defensive side of the ball, but their ability to navigate their space in terms of what they do offensively and where things is a challenge for them consistently. Even if you're talking about KJ Cooper, marvelously as he is with big plays, his ability to command the offense, they get bogged down at times and are not very efficient in terms of matriculating the ball down the field. So keep your eyes on these two teams. Whoever's able to do that best in this matchup, other than turnovers, will find their way with a victory in this matchup.
All right, folks, there you go. You'll be able to catch that game right here on SWAC TV at 6 p.m. Central Time. We're going to take us a break, come back and talk to you about the early games coming up. We're live from the Alabama State University campus. It's homecoming. It's SWAC TV. Let's go.
Gatorade has the #1 proven electrolyte blend, designed to hydrate better than water, made to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel, so you can lose more sweat and run the game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Since 2018, Cricket Wireless has been supporting the journey of HBCU students because HBCUs aren't just schools. They're a place where teammates form lifelong bonds, the kind of bonds that stay with you every step of the way. That's why we keep you connected, so you can tackle anything that's thrown your way. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Big rivalries, big wins, and continuing legacies. Since 1920, the Southwestern Athletic Conference has been more than just a league. It's been a movement. From the roaring crowds to sold-out stadiums, year after year, SWAC leads the nation in FCS attendance. And now, the wait is over. Welcome to SWAC TV, your free all-access pass to the soul of the conference. Every rivalry, every win, every championship moment, captured, streamed, and celebrated. Stream SWAC TV, available on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Google Play, and Android TV. SWAC TV, where history is made and moments live forever.
Brighter futures begin here with students and faculty that bring campus projects to life with help from the Home Depot Retool Your School grants. With these grants, HBCUs have built innovative learning lounges, revitalized rec areas, and created peaceful wellness spaces, providing students with areas to learn, relax, and thrive. Through their dedication to uplifting their campuses, HBCUs are growing stronger, one grant at a time, one project at a time, one community at a time. Learn more at retoolyourschool.com. Retool Your School. We're powered by purpose.
There's no I in team, but there is an M, an E, an A, and a T.
Hello, and welcome back to SWAC TV Game Time, along with Dr. Kenyatta Cavill and Charles Bishop. I am Roy Evans, live from Alabama State University, where the Hornets will be hosting the Wildcats, as you see at the graphic. We'll get to that game in a little bit, but let's talk about these other games. First, of course, due to circumstances beyond each team's control, the game between Florida A&M and Mississippi Valley State will not happen this weekend. It has been rescheduled to November 29th. It will be held in Itabena, Mississippi. Now let's move on. The game coming up at 3 p.m. Central Time right here on SWAC TV. The Braves of Alcorn State host the Panthers of Prairie View. Charles, kick us off with what do you see happening in this game?
I mean, I think the team that has really just absolutely turned heads has been Prairie View. You're talking about a defense that's number 3 currently in the SWAC, but you got players over there on the defensive side of the ball. Trevor Randall, he has 40 tackles on the season. He's in the SWAC. Darryl Starlin, 39 tackles, number 2 in the. But offensively, they can really grind you down. They have a couple of great running backs, Chase Bing, Lamar McDowell, that really can take over in time of possession. One of the things you kind of listen to with coaches around the league, they do a tremendous job of multiple personnel, different looks that kind of confuse defense. And thus far, Prairie View has been, I think, the SWAC in terms of what they've been able to do. And one of the things that Coach Jackson telling us in terms of preparing for this game, myself and Charles Porter will be on the call, is he's really impressed by the way his team closes games out. That's been one of the things that he really talked about, and he's really appreciative of the grind that really give teams and, more or less making them tap out. So it'll be very interesting today in terms of this game. First real road trip for Prairie View, first time outside of the state of Texas playing on the road here at Alcorn. And it's the home opener for Alcorn. A lot of pressure on them today to really kind of turn things around. They've been ravaged by injuries, but one of the things Coach Thomas was talking about is looking forward to getting back on home soil, getting back in front of this raucous Alcorn State Brave fan base, and wants to see what his team is able to do here at home.
All right. We have heard that the reservation is one of the toughest places to play in the SWAC. Doc, what are your thoughts on this game?
These teams have been able to win on the road against each other over the last 3 years. So you kind of throw that out. That's fascinating to me that it's gone back and forth, but it's not been a home series. It's been the road team that's been able to get it done in a lot of ways. But Charles said some important things that are viewers need to keep their eyes on when you look at it specific for Prairie View. I think it's their ability to really close out games. And how have they been able to do that is being very efficient and being able to run the ball. They had that tough loss, if you would, against Rio Grande Valley, but they had the ball and were driving down the field before the fumble. But outside of that, you talk about a last-second touchdown really with no time on the clock against Texas Southern in the Labor Day Classic. And then this past weekend, as they had the lead with controlling it, you saw a little bit of momentum from Grambling State in their matchup in terms of them having the ability maybe to make a comeback. They needed that drive, and they had a 3-4+ minute drive to really close things out. And they did that against Northwestern State. So their ability to run the ball effectively, put themselves in very manageable decisions when it really comes down to gut check time, if you would, at the end of the games. They've been very proficient on that. And what has been able to do that is some teams have been able to score early on them, but after they figure it out on defense, they tend to shut teams down. Second half, they've been significant in what they've been able to do on touchdowns, except for that tough loss to Rio Grande Valley where they got a late touchdown, but that was the only touchdown that Rio Grande Valley had in the contest. So fascinating to see what they're able to do holistically against this Alcorn State Braves team that has been able to a little bit of heckle and jive in regards to what they've done offensively. You would think they would be a team that wants to pound the ball, but lately they've tried to pass a little more of that, and they've kind of had their struggles with that. Against Alabama A&M, which gives up a lot of points to everybody, we just talked about in the last segment, they were able to put up 31 points. Well, when you talk about Northwestern State, a matchup that we also saw with Prairie View play, they were only able to score 10 points. Now, that opened up the season, so they've made a couple of changes, but we go back to this last matchup against the Pine Bluff Golden Lions, where they were able to put up 20 points. Were not very efficient in that matchup, so they have to find a way to be more efficient in terms of what they do. And that comes on when you talk about the arm of Tolbert, their quarterback, that continues to be pretty proficient. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 6'2", 275-pound junior. He's just at 55.3% in terms of his efficiency. Has thrown the ball in the end zone twice. Does have 637 passing yards. So fascinating to see, can he get some things going? If they would like to see the running game against Prairie View get going, which is going to be a tough course. But that's the thing that they're going to have to find a way to get done if they want to find a way in the win column, as they've struggled 0-4. If you're Prairie View, I think what you want to see is you want to jump on them early, which they haven't really been able to do against teams other than what they did last week against Grambling on the first drive, and were able to kind of control the tempo of that game. They want to go on the road, as Charles said, first true road test when you talk about coming outside of Texas, a place where they're comfortable because they have seen some wins there. But those fans on the reservation, you let them get going, it'll be a tough place to play.
All right. Well, Charles,
and real quick,
go ahead.
Roy, real quick, I'll add on to what Doc was saying just with regards to Alcorn football. Corian Sewell, he comes into game number 1 in the SWAC and rushing 22 yards. He's going for 7.5 yards a pop. So they do have to get that running game up and going.
And that was going to be my question to you. What does Alcorn have to do to get into that game? Now, last question we're going to ask you, gentlemen. Let's take a look at it. What grade would you give Coach Jackson for weeks 1 through 5?
I definitely say, go ahead, Doc.
Now, I wanted to jump out there as the resident professor. I guess both of us are teaching, so that's not fair to you. But I'll clip you with this one. As the dean of HBCU sports, I want to get in here. I think he deserves a solid A in terms of that. He just missed out on that A+ because of that loss to Rio Grande Valley at home. But he's made some self-corrections. So in a lot of ways, I think in terms of people's expectation, 2-0 in the SWAC, rivalry game win, both in terms of 2-0 in classic matchups, 2-0 in the SWAC. At this point, when you kind of look at the midway point of the season, even though you're not quite there for SWAC play, at this point, I think he gets a solid A.
All right. Charles?
Yeah, I think I echo Doc's sentiments. I think Coach Jackson gets a solid A, especially, and we talked about it, first year coach. But the way this team is able to close games has been very, very impressive. And the thing that he's really excited about is they haven't reached their full potential. They're getting better, and buy-in is happening week by week by week. And you start seeing some things. The first thing that jumps out at you, this team is very physical. That offensive line, they got some monsters up front. They beat you down, and that's one of the things he takes pride in is watching teams sort of wear down in the fourth quarter. And when you have a 1-2 punch in Bingman and Lamaje McDowell, it makes things very hard on the opposing defense. So I definitely, Coach Jack, like I said, he talked the talk and Prairie View, they walk.
Most definitely. All right, guys, that game you'll be able to check out again at 3 p.m. Central on SWAC TV. Let's now talk about the game where we are. Alabama State hosts the Wildcats of Bethune Cookman, arguably the hottest team in the conference coming in last 2 weeks, big wins, versus the team that has always expected to be at the top of the mix. But this year, they're there and they're wanting to drive the train. What do you guys see happening in this game today? Charles, let's start with you.
Well, I think we've seen it from Bethune Cookman over the past couple of weeks. They can score the football. I don't know what they unlocked versus South Carolina State, but scoring 28 points in the fourth quarter, and since then they've been really rolling with regards to offense. So can Bethune Cookman's offense get up and going against an Alabama State defense that has honestly been a championship level defense for the past 3 years? Just did not have the offense to go with it. This year, they have the offense. So Alabama State, they got some toys to play with. Jalen Jones out there, receiver, whole squad with a running back. And, of course, we talked about Andrew Body. It's going to be a tough road today for Bethune Cookman, but Bama State can't make the mistake of looking ahead to playing Jackson State next week.
All right. Doc?
One of the things they've unlocked, Charles, is Kamani Robinson, the freshman running back, 6 foot, 190 pounds, out of Sanford, Florida. He's totaled 273 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, rushing attempts. He's had 41, so he's gotten going. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry. He's really solid, and when he gets going, he allows their quarterback to be much more comfortable. They have a bevy of other running backs that can go in. And one thing that you always think about Florida is their speed. And they've been able to get the ball to playmakers, and whether that's receivers or the running backs or even the quarterbacks with their legs, they've gotten really comfortable about finding ways, mixing in on the offensive coordinator side to be able to unlock, as you said, after that fourth quarter against South Carolina State and moving forward, what they do offensively. So they're feeling really comfortable and really good. So that's the intriguing thing. They're on the road against a Hornet team that's hot. They play solid defense, so I'm intrigued to see. Can the Wildcats continue to play with that offensive momentum to at least make this game more interesting than people thought? And maybe even get proverbially what many upset when you think about Hornets in everybody's top polls. I have them at number 2, right behind those Jackson State Tigers at number 1.
All right. Just a couple of quick questions to finish out this segment. Does a BCU win over Alabama A&M create a new higher standard for the Wildcats? And does that get amplified if they're able to win today? Let's get that one. Yes or no, gentlemen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A win over Alabama State, because Alabama State has been that team that has really popped, if you will, this season. Everybody's been talking about Alabama State. A win in Montgomery today, oh, man, that does wonders for the Bethune Cookman program.
All right. Last question.
I'll say yes, because you said yes or no, but what I wanted to say is exactly what y'all said. Absolutely. I mean, it would be the talk of the week if the Wildcats could get this upset. You talking about turning over the apple cart. People wouldn't know what to do with themselves. I think most people see it as a far-gone conclusion that the Hornets will get it done. So you get a major upset. As I said, you got Hornets ranked number 2 in terms of major division HBCU football. Anytime you get an upset of top 3 ranked team, some people are going to look the other way, particularly a Wildcat team that is playing good football, but I'm not sure that many people saw them being 1-0 in the conference race this early, but particularly winning 2 straight. To get it done against the Hornets, oh yeah, man, we have a lot of fun things to talk about tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week.
We're going to bring Brian back in for this one last question that I've got with everyone. So we're going to pull that Andrew body graphic up one more time. Let everybody remember he is our player spotlight hero of the week. And gentlemen, as we get out of here, so far it's been a 2-horse race. Alabama State, Jackson State in the East. The East has been the dominant talk for the SWAC for the last couple of years. With Bethune doing what they're doing now, do we have to add them in, push FAMU completely out of that conversation of the top 3 in the East, or is it now a 4-team race? Really quickly, Brian, what's your thought? You're muted. Brian, I believe you're muted.
While he's working with that, I'll say the proverbial that we've heard out there, not so fast, my friends. Let's get through this game first. See if they can get the upset. Right now, I think it's all about Andrew Body as you have him up there in Alabama State, the Hornets. But yeah, if somehow things change today, and that's why we'll watch the game. I'm like, whoa, not so fast.
All right. Brian, did we get you clear?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, pretty much. I was long-winded, but Doc pretty much summed it up. Whoa, not so fast.
Charles?
Yeah, I mean, I think the buy-in happens if Bethune Cookman can get the upset, but they have to get the upset first.
Well, I'm going to be the one dissenting view in that. I don't think they have to get the upset. If they play Alabama State close today, you have got to consider these Wildcats as a serious contender in these. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. It's time for us to let you go. Get ready for your weekend of HBCU SWAC football. We're going to go to this overlay shot of Kim. Give us a shot, some of the stuff that's happening here at the Alabama State homecoming for SWAC TV as we're getting it in. We want to thank you all for coming in with us, hanging out. We look like we're having just a quick issue with that, but we'll get it. So, again, for Dr. Cavill, for Charles Bishop, for Brian Fulford, I am Roy Evans. This has been SWAC TV Game Time. As you get that view, as we scroll on out of here, the food trucks, the fans are on their way in, the people are here, the city is already here. You may have heard a little while ago we had the parade coming through campus on here and getting things ready to go. So let's get ready to get out of here. Until next week, we'll see you. This has been SWAC TV Game Time right here on SWAC TV.